Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? Welcome to Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. Just popping Rick.
What's up?
I was gonna say there's no delay on your Zoom because a week ago when you were recording at a different location, your lag was bad. But we already recorded this week, so I guess that is irrelevant to the conversation. Anyway, welcome to Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Today, how you doing, Rick? By the way,
I'm peachy. How are you?
You're peachy. All right, I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. I'm hoping to get a plurality of dubs this week.
I could use it in some leagues.
And also tonight, CeeDee Lamb plays. He's back, so
there you go.
I get to watch him get 6 points and ruin myself.
No, I mean I don't think when we talked about our Thursday night preview show, we assumed Cooper was going to play, but I think he's still be sick.
Yeah. So update. We recorded that ahead of time.
Yeah.
He's out, most likely.
So, I mean, that's good things for
CeeDee. I don't know. Whenever I think it's good things for CeeDee, he gets 2 points. So,
well, he's listed as questionable, Amari Cooper, in game time decision. So,
frick. But either way,
yeah.
Today we got starts and sits for Week 13. We're gonna give you our favorite plays for the week, guys that you should be starting in your starting lineups, guys that you should be sitting on your bench because they suck. Or maybe they don't suck. Maybe they just have a bad matchup. Could go either way. But we're going to give you that start and sit for Week 13. Before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, please leave a review. Share this pod with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, click the bell for notifications, and then like and comment down below any questions you might have that relate to starts and sits.
Yeah. Who should I start?
Who should I start? Who should I sit?
Should I start? Justin Jefferson or Sterling Shepard at wide receiver?
Shepard, definitely.
Great advice.
Somebody just slid Sterling Shepard into their lineup for no
Do you see,
purpose.
a side note, Antonio Brown, I just clicked on his name, was supposed to be out like a week, and now he's expected to miss
100 years.
In addition, he's already been out for 6, and now is not expected to return until Week 15 at the earliest and could miss the remainder of the season.
The NFL couldn't suspend him for anything, so he just suspended himself.
Yeah, decided to just tear his own ACL.
So I guess that's I saw that and I'm like, I have a league that's just have your leagues, the ones you're winning in, not the ones you've crapped the bet in, the ones you're winning in. Have you noticed that there has been a plethora of injuries?
Yes.
And like I'm getting late in the season, I'm like, okay, here's some winning streaks, and then everyone on my team gets hurt. This happened in every league that I'm in. There's a league that I'm stacked. Like, just give me the money.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, 5 injuries happen, and you're like, oh, wow, I'm like the rest of everyone else now. Thanks, NFL.
It blows.
So I'm just hoping for the best. That's why the start and sit show is important, guys, because, there's some guys that maybe people aren't talking about that you're going to have some decision making to do this week. So we're going to help you out with that. But yeah, it does blow. And AB has suspended himself. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
They were like, he's coming back this week. And then I heard he didn't practice Wednesday. And I was like, well, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for this week. And then they're like, oh, he's going to miss 2 more weeks. And I'm like, okay, so when is he coming back? Is he ever going to play again this year? Or are they just going to save him for the postseason?
Who knows? Who the hell knows?
Yeah. But either way, let's jump into our starts and sits. We'll start with the quarterbacks and run it down like we usually do. I also want to note that, Rick and I are actually, I think this is the first time this season that we're recording on a Wednesday.
Well, first time in a while.
Definitely a while. I'll say that. Yeah, in a while.
Yeah, couple weeks.
And so we've been posting on Thursdays. I mean, not Fridays and Saturdays, but we're going back to the normal routine. Thursday, Friday. Hopefully, you don't get too screwed up at this point. because I'm screwed up. It's Wednesday, and I'm like, why am I? It's definitely Thursday. There's football on tonight, but there isn't. There's no football on tonight. For us, at least. When you guys listen to this, it'll be live. But either way, let's jump into our starts and sits for the week. At the quarterback position, we're going to start with Kirk Cousins. Rick, why don't you give us a rundown of why Kirk Cousins is a start this week?
Well, he's playing Detroit.
That would be
so that should probably be enough. No, but Detroit is obviously a horrible team. Mm-hmm. Their defense though is
that's not fair though.
Sometimes okay.
They almost won a bunch of times.
But they have honestly almost won a couple times. But yeah. Their defense is okay, but not great still. Without Dalvin Cook too, do you think the Vikings might throw the ball a little bit more in this game? Because I would expect them to. Maybe not.
Yeah,
not a lot. Madison will still, get a huge role and everything, but instead of throwing the ball like 30 times, maybe they go up to like 35, 40.
Can I go on a rant for a second about Monday Night Football announcers again?
Oh gosh, every week we do this every week.
Yeah, anytime I hear a Monday Night Football team that played the previous
week,
it just triggers me. Make it quick. No, I was gonna say they were literally talking about Alexander Madison, like he was like some kind of like how like when I'm trying to think like when what's his name went down for the Ravens in the preseason.
Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins, thank you. And they literally brought everyone in and the kitchen sink in to run for them. Literally a guy selling pizzas on the side of the street because they didn't have anyone.
Yeah.
And they still suck at running the football, by the way. Devonta Freeman's okay.
Uh-huh.
But either way,
well,
they were treating Alexander Madison like that. Like they were going to have to restart. And then the guy literally said, and we've seen about 3 or 4 games this season where Dalvin Cook, I think he didn't play in 2 games so far. But in both of those games, Madison has taken over the workhorse-like load.
Yeah,
and all you have to do is do a quick search on your phone. Like I could do it real quick right now. And you'll find that out. So he proceeds to say that without Dalvin Cook in the lineup, it's going to be a committee. I don't know which one it was, but they all blow.
No, that's dumb.
I'm like,
that's not going to happen.
It's not going to be a committee because that's not what happens in the past. So don't listen to the Monday Night Football announcers, especially Booger.
This he's not even on our list because it's so obvious, but Madison against Detroit is like...
I was putting him on the list, and then I realized I put Kirk Cousins already, so I took him off. But Madison is a great
it's
player.
Smart because if you have Madison, you shouldn't even be thinking he's going to be a top 10 running back against Detroit. I think.
Yeah.
Last time he played Detroit, he had 22 points in half PPR. So.
Yeah, but I like I said, and then there was another point in the game, by the way, where they said a player got hurt was it the Vikings were playing on Monday night, right?
They must have been. No, they didn't. They played against San Francisco.
Oh man, maybe this was another group of announcers.
It's the West Coast. Everything you need
it's
to
the
blame
West
on the Monday Night
Coast crew. Have you ever watched a West Coast game?
Yes.
Their announcers just seem like a little bit worse than what we get on the East Coast. Like they put all the good games at 1:00 and 4:00.
Yeah,
the good announcers. If the game's on the East Coast, they put the. Anyway, yeah, that was probably a West Coast crew that would I don't even know why they would do that. It's Vikings Packers, but you're. Yeah. So I'm sorry, Monday Night Football crew. I'd mistaken you for your horrible announcing, but Monday was pretty bad. Even the Manning cast is getting a little wonky.
I honestly would rather watch the Monday Night Football cast than the Manning cast now at this point.
Yeah, I watched it and I'm like, it's funny, but
it has funny moments, but man, it gets slow.
It gets stale, like for long portions of time. But either way, yeah, Kirk Cousins, back to the main point.
What if they just took the white guy out of the booth and they put Peyton Manning in there? Well, then not the play-by-play. I mean, they could use a new play-by-play, but for now, leave him there and just have Louis.
He's the one saying half the stupid stuff, though.
That is true. Yeah, he's not a good.
I would.
He doesn't get hype at all, too. Like there'll be a big play, and he's like, and he goes down the field, touchdown.
I know. I'm
it's like get a little excited.
You're watching on mute, bro.
You're a play-by-play.
I can't. I'd rather listen to Collinsworth on repeat for 17 days straight.
He's not an awful hockey announcer, but NFL. Anyway, let's get back on track here because we can just talk about that.
So,
yeah, against Detroit, good matchup. He's also played really. He's the QB9 in fantasy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, he only has 3 interceptions. Although I've watched a lot of Vikings games because Justin Jefferson, and let me tell you, Kirk Cousins is like the best quarterback I've ever watched. He always puts up numbers. He always makes a couple good throws, but he'll make like 5 or 6 throws a game where it should be intercepted and it's not. Or he'll just get sacked. Like he'll take awful sacks where he just holds it, doesn't know what to do, waddles to the sideline, and then gets sacked. He's like no athleticism whatsoever. But
there it is.
Sometimes he makes good plays, and he's played well this year. It's actually he's having a career year, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
hold on, I'm pulling up his numbers.
23 touchdowns, 3 interceptions,
3,000 yards. He might actually. I don't know if he's going to hit 4K. How many games are?
I can tell you right now, though, he could easily have like 10 interceptions. He had 2 that got.
Believe it or not, as a Dalvin Cook person, like I feel like I should just like watch the Viking games, but I never do. I just trust that Dalvin Cook's going to get like 25.
Oh, I actually enjoy watching Vikings games, so they're
Vikings
kind of an entertaining team.
But anyway, yes, Rick is very right. Kirk Cousins is kind of having a career year, and he is QB9 in half PPR or 4-point touchdown leagues. Which is kind of surprising. Now, this is kind of what he always does, really, and no one ends up picking him up. Like, he gets drafted in, like, the 14th, 15th round every year or ends up on the waiver wire, and then by the end of the season, we're all sitting here talking about him because he somehow ended up QB9 again, and it's like, oh, well, that happens every year. So,
yeah.
But Kirk Cousins, I think for some teams, like, he's a good startable option. If you're in a 5 or 6 point touchdown league where the quarterback position is important, having Kirk Cousins is like having the running back 10 as your first running back.
Yeah.
It's not really effective. But if you're in a 4-point touchdown league where the quarterback play is not really uber important to your success, Kirk Cousins is a perfect option for you to just stick in there and know that you're going to get a consistent like 20 plus a game. And he's doing all this, Rick, by the way, with a tough schedule.
I know.
So that's interesting. But he's playing Detroit this week. Detroit has been not great against the quarterback position on the season. I think they've been middle of the pack, giving up 18 points per game to the quarterback position. Yeah. So yeah, that's mediocre. It's the same amount of fantasy points per game as the guy we're telling you to sit at quarterback for the week. Cool. So I'm just gonna take that number out of it. But anyway, yeah, no, I think Kirk Cousins, especially against Detroit. Detroit is just not. They're gritty, but they're not good, and so and like Rick said, there's no Dalvin Cook. So without Dalvin Cook, I know Madison's gonna get going on the ground, but this is gonna be a game where they throw the ball a lot.
I will say they did play Detroit last time without Dalvin Cook, and he only got 14 points.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. But everything points in the direction that he should have a good game.
Yeah. So I would start him this week. The sit of the week is quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Miami's been playing good. For some reason, the Giants have been actually relatively decent against the quarterback position. And like I said, same amount of fantasy points given up per game. But this team they just got Barkley back. I'm sorry, I'm talking about the wrong team.
I was gonna say Barkley doesn't really play defense, does he?
Oh man, I was like, and then I'm like, wait, Daniel Jones is hurt. Why am I talking about Daniel Jones on the sit list? No, we're talking about Tua, you moron. But anyway, yeah. So I feel like this is just gonna be a game for Tua where he's only gonna get like 15 to 16 fantasy points, and that's fine. But you're trying to make the playoffs in your leagues this week and next week, so. Like, if you have Tua and you need to stream because you have a quarterback on a bye, I wouldn't go with Tua this week. I would go Tua in the next subsequent weeks after his bye. Is he week 14 bye? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would go with Tua in the subsequent weeks, but right now I wouldn't set him up.
Yeah, I mean, against the Titans in the championship week, that could be a great play. Against the Jets in week 15. But yeah, this week against the Giants is not a great matchup. I do think he's going to do okay. And he also has Devante Parker coming back because he's played the last, like, I want to say since week 6.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he actually played one game. So since week 4, actually, Tua has really only had Jalen Waddle to throw to, and Mike Gesicki, of course. But he was supposed to, going into the year, one of the reasons he was hyped up was he has Will Fuller, he has Jalen Waddle, he has Devante Parker, he has Mike Gesicki, he has all these weapons. And Fuller's been out for pretty much the whole year, and Devante Parker's been out for most of the year. He is practicing this week, and the hope is that he's going to play this week. So that could help Tua. But yeah, against the Giants defense has actually been playing pretty well. They destroyed the Eagles. They didn't destroy the Eagles, but they played very, very well defensively against the Eagles. Jalen Hurts threw 3 interceptions, probably could have thrown like 5 or 6, to be honest. So against Tua, it's probably going to be tough for him. I do think he still plays decent, like you said, probably like around 15, 16 fantasy points, but not something that you want to start if you're trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I agree. Let's move to the running back position. We're running out of time because we just schmoozed for like 40 minutes.
Well, we talked for like 10 minutes about Monday Night Football.
That's fair. But anyway, so running back position, Miles Sanders had some form of an ankle injury Sunday, I believe. I can't remember. I watched the game. I can't remember if he missed time in the game.
He did. I'm pretty sure.
They pulled him and he didn't come back. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. So regardless,
he was playing good too, actually.
He was playing well. But I think this week he's going to end up being. I think he's probably not going to play this week. But he was a limited participant on Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah, and Boston Scott didn't practice.
Boston Scott didn't practice due to an illness. So I'm going to say if Miles Sanders does not play, we'll start with that. I would start Boston Scott for this game against the Jets. The Jets give up a lot of fantasy points to the running back position. Just to give you the totals, so far on the season, the Jets have given up. Where is their number? Why do I always do this and then they end up giving up small amounts of fantasy points? No, they've given up the most fantasy points to the running back.
I was going to say not the Jets.
I was like, whoa, hold on a second. The numbers are all wonky on Fantasy Pros. No, but they've given up the most fantasy points a game to the running back position, 27.5 points per game. They've been terrible at stopping the run. So I would say this is gonna be a really good game for, and if Jalen Hurts also does not play, I don't expect them to toss it all over the field with Gardner Minshew. They're probably just gonna hand it off the whole game. That's how they usually win, the Eagles. So I would say Boston Scott would be a good play if Miles Sanders does play this week, does end up playing this week. I think he's a good play as well. He was playing very well when he got hurt in the game against, who were they playing last week?
The Giants.
The Giants, yeah. So he was playing well against the Giants at that point, but yeah. So I feel like at this point you can start either one of those guys if they start. But if Miles Sanders starts, I feel like Boston Scott might be an okay flex play if you're desperate, but I wouldn't start him unless to say Sanders is out.
To start Miles Sanders, he has been so bad this year and has not even scored more than 7 fantasy points since week 1, which is so disgusting. But if you're going to start him, it should be against the Giants. Now he probably would have got more than 10 last week. Oh yeah, against the Jets. He probably would have got more than 10 last week against the Giants if he played more than
Eagles probably
2 quarters.
Hung out in New York at this rate.
Yeah, really. I think they probably did because both games are in the same stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, against the Jets, though, the Jets have been so bad at defending the run. You would expect Miles, even if he only gets like 15 touches in this game, I think that's good enough for like 12 fantasy points. 12 to 15 fantasy points, to be honest. So he's going to have a good week this week. I think this is finally
this year on the ground.
If for some reason you held on to him the entire year, this is the week to play him. It's Jets.
I've been trying to acquire him for weeks.
You're probably good that you haven't.
That's fair.
If you traded for him in like week 6 and was
he's
like,
got
such
a
Tampa.
great rest of season schedule, and I'm trying to get Miles Sanders on my team so hard, and it's not happening. Yeah. So Miles Sanders / Boston Scott, decent. Let's move to the sit running back, which is Alex Collins versus San Francisco. I'll make this one quick. Collins has not been great. And Seattle has not been great. Seattle's blown since Russell Wilson's gotten back. The offense has looked horrible. Maybe one of the worst offenses in football, and that's harsh.
Which is crazy because you have DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson, and Tyler Lockett.
Right. So it's been really bad, and I don't know if Russ is checked out. I don't know if that finger is still affecting his throwing, but he overthrew a guy by 15 yards the other day, and it was pretty horrible. He hasn't been good, but the run game is literally averaging 2 yards a carry. Yeah. So I would say just because of the offense as a whole being as bad, if it was the normal Seattle offense, I would feel better about Alex Collins, even against San Fran. But because their offense just sucks and it's not going anywhere and they're not moving the ball, I'm not comfortable starting Alex Collins. We have to reassess the Seattle Seahawks offense as a whole. If Michael Carter gets hurt, do you pick up Ty Johnson and start him for the Jets? No. So that's a similar situation here. Not that the Seattle Seahawks have as bad an offense as the Jets, but we're getting to that point with Alex Collins. Where
right now, I think the Jets have a better offense than the Seahawks.
He said it. I didn't.
I'm just saying, look at the numbers.
Yeah, that's ultimately why I would sit Alex Collins, though, is just because Seattle's offense is not so great.
No, agreed. That offense is a trip. I actually do think it's probably one of the worst offenses in the league, if not the worst. I can't honestly what's a worst offense? I don't think it's the Jets. The Jets get 17 points.
It's just if Russ starts playing well, they can easily transition from worst to top 10. So
I mean,
whereas the Jets ain't flipping that switch.
No. The Jets are going to be bottom 10. The Jets are worse on defense though.
Yeah,
I think on offense. But Alex Collins blows, to be honest. The whole offense blows. I started him this week. I literally needed 1 point to win. He got 1.2.
Oh my God, I saw that and I almost lost my mind. I was because I wanted you to win. And I was he really just won by 1 point because Alex Collins
not even a point. It was less
crawled
than a
across the finish line.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
Your whole season. So that was your whole season in one game.
Yeah, he's been so bad. I'm never starting him again. I only started him because
I'll take note of that in the next year.
I think Cly. Yeah, of course. He's been bad. I know it's Chris Carson's out. He's a starting running back. No, don't start him. Do not start him.
Yep.
And it's against San Francisco. So it's
and San Francisco, just so you know, 15 points per game to the running back position, which is a top 3 tough matchup. So not a good week to start.
Yeah, don't start Alex Collins.
Wide receiver position, Christian Kirk. He's had a decent year, with and without DeAndre Hopkins on the field. Hopkins, I believe, is coming back this week, or is going to play this week, I should say. And there are some good games for Christian Kirk. There has been some bad games, but in games where he's had an easier matchup, he's had 21, 8, 13, 1, 16, 13, 6. And then obviously you have the tougher matchup games where he had 7, 13, 9, and 3. They're going up against the Chicago Bears this week, and the Bears have given up, I believe it's 24.3 fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position, which is a top 6 easy matchup. Yeah. So I'm going to say start Christian Kirk. This is, obviously you're going to start Hopkins. Rondale Moore has basically been relegated to nothing. That leaves Christian Kirk there. I would start Christian Kirk this week if you need a flex play, and you have Christian Kirk on your bench, and you can expect mediocre or reasonable numbers, which is 10 to 12 points, but in half PPR. But I think it's worth the start because you just need points to get across the finish line at this point. So.
No, it's not a bad start. With Kyler Murray coming back, it's good. Hopkins does worry me a little bit. But I'm not even sure if I think he's going to play, but Cliff Kingsbury said that they have to be smart with how they use him, meaning that he could be limited, but it's Cliff Kingsbury, so you can't listen to a word he says. So who knows how that works out, but it is a good matchup for Kirk. And bro, what you talking about? Ronald Moore had 11 targets last week.
He
and
did.
11 catches for 50 yards. It's so gross.
Yeah, he kind of blows it.
I mean, it's Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy was just dumping it off to him though, so it doesn't really.
It's trying to get it into his hands.
Not exactly his fault, but yeah. No, but Kirk should be a decent start this week. He's very inconsistent. But he's also due for a touchdown. Hasn't had one since week 7, partly because Murray's been out the last 3 weeks.
Right.
But yeah, with Kyler Murray back, he could have a decent game against the Bears.
Moving to the sit wide receiver of the week, we have Emmanuel Sanders versus New England. This is probably the game of the week, I would say.
I agree.
Very, very good game, and I don't think the NFL thought they were going to get. I don't think they thought this Monday Night Football game would be as big as it is, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
But Emmanuel Sanders versus New England is not a good play, and I've had some games where I started Emmanuel Sanders. He kind of hasn't been good lately, and so you probably wouldn't start him anyway. But I'm just gonna say, if you're thinking about starting him, don't do it against New England. It's not a good matchup. You probably find better options on the waiver wire.
I agree. Emmanuel Sanders has been in nothing since week 6 anyway.
He's been anemic.
Yeah, you destroyed a man, and you didn't really destroy him, but you threw in an extra piece, and that extra piece was Emmanuel Sanders, and he at this point is no more than a crappy bench player. So
yep.
And against the Patriots, definitely don't start him.
Yeah, I agree. Freiermuth. It's been pretty good. Good red zone target for Ben Roethlisberger. He's kind of Big Ben can't throw it down the field, so
I know, it's a
at this point
match.
it's just slant routes to Deontay, and anything he can get forced down Pat Freiermuth's throat.
Sad for Chase Claypool.
I hope Chase Claypool. He's actually been better in recent weeks, but either way, I would start Freiermuth against Baltimore. It's a good matchup for him, and I think he's becoming a safety valve for Ben Roethlisberger at this point. And as tight ends, wide receivers, rookie tight ends and wide receivers get further along in the season, they start to develop a little bit more. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Freiermuth, and I think he's going to continue to do that against Baltimore.
Yeah, he's at this point almost getting a touchdown a week. So against Baltimore, right. I think he can keep it up.
All right, and then quickly with the tight end sit of the week, this is just becoming a mainstay.
I know. You're picking on him now.
It's at this point, yes. Dalton Schultz versus New Orleans. Now there isn't nothing to back this up. I'm not just saying Schultz blows and you should bench him. He's playing the New Orleans Saints, who give up about. I see it now. I had the number in front of me and now it's gone.
It's not good.
Yeah. About 6 points per game to the tight end position.
Oof.
6 or 7. So
yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. So I would say this is a sit this week. Also Cowboys, they're on Thursday night, and they got CD back. They have Michael Gallup in the lineup. They're putting Zeke back in there. Going to give him a massive workload according to.
If Cooper's out though, do you think that gives him?
No.
Well, no. See, I do. I think if Amari Cooper's out.
You start him at your own risk, Rick.
As much. But no, I don't know. It's kind of gross. Who would you start, though? Schultz against the Saints or Dawson Knox against the Patriots?
Knox against the Patriots.
Really?
Yeah. This is probably going to be a lot of scoring opportunity for Josh Allen.
Oh. Really? Against the Pats? The Patriots?
The New England Patriots, yeah.
Dude, I thought you... I
love the Patriots. I love the defense. I think I'm a truther, but... they're playing the Bills.
Yeah, I guess.
The Bills one of two things is going to happen in that game. Either the Bills are going to come out and they're just going to vomit all over themselves like they did for 20 plus years behind waiting for Brady to go away, or they're going to come out and just assert their dominance as the number one team in the division. Could go either way.
I'll say side note though, the quarterbacks they've had the last 20 years, I saw like a list on all of them.
Gross. I
don't think any of them is even. The best one was probably Ryan Fitzpatrick before Josh Allen. So, EJ Manuel, Nathan Peterman. They had Bledsoe for a little while.
They did have Bledsoe for a little while.
But yeah, no. Yeah, and Josh Allen's definitely.
I agree. So there are your starts of the week and sits of the week. Kirk Cousins, Miles Sanders, Christian Kirk, Freiermuth. Get them in your lineup. and then take out of your lineup Tua, Alex Collins, Emmanuel Sanders, Dalton, Schultz. Enjoy that Thursday night football game tonight. Hopefully you get some fantasy points and you get some dubs. CeeDee Lamb owners, shout out. Tomorrow we got trade targets. See you later, guys.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.